inviting me to be with you today. And thank you all for the work that you do every single day, making this country a better country for working people, for low-income people, for women, and for all of those people who are struggling to make ends meet. Thank you for what you're doing. And let me thank our friends from Minnesota for hosting this event and for giving us some of the great political leaders of the last century, including our great friend, Paul Wellstone. I understand that there are Republicans who proclaim how much they love America, but at the same time, how much they hate the people who work in our government or who are involved in the political process. I disagree. In my view, what you are doing, participating in the political process, trying to make this country a better country for all of our people, is the most patriotic thing we can do as Americans, and I applaud you all. When I announced my candidacy for president less than 4 months ago, I think it is fair to say that few took that candidacy seriously. In fact, the word fringe was heard more than once. But I think it is also fair to say that a lot has changed in the last few months. All across this country, we have drawn some of the largest crowds of this campaign, including many young people and working people who have not previously been involved in the political process. More than 100,000 Americans have signed up to volunteer on Bernie 2016. Received more individual campaign contributions than any other presidential campaign. Some 400,000. And in this day of super PACs and huge campaign contributions, I am very proud to tell you that our average campaign contribution is $31.20. This is a people's campaign. Most importantly, I believe that few would deny that the issues that we are running on are generating an enormous amount of enthusiasm, and that our grassroots campaign, which is calling for a political revolution, is striking a chord all over America. My friends, the Republican Party did not win the midterm election in November. We lost that election. They didn't win, we lost, because voter turnout was abysmally, embarrassingly low, and millions of working people, young people, and people of color gave up on politics as usual, and they stayed home. That's the fact. And let me be as clear as I can be. In my view, Democrats will not retain the White House, will not regain the Senate or the U.S. House, will not be successful in dozens of governors' races all across this country unless we generate excitement and momentum and produce a huge voter turnout. With all due respect, and I do not mean to insult anyone here, that turnout, that enthusiasm will not happen with politics as usual. The same old will not work. The people of our country understand that given the collapse of the American middle class and given the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality we are experiencing, we do not need more establishment politics or establishment economics. What we need is a political movement which is prepared to take on the billionaire class and create a government which works for all of us and not just corporate America and a handful of the wealthiest people in this country. Which takes on the economic and political establishment, not one which is part of that establishment. We need a movement which tells corporate America and the wealthiest people in this country that they will start paying their fair share of taxes. That we will end the obscenity of living in a country where the top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That is not the kind of economy we want. We need a movement which tells Wall Street that when a bank is too big to fail, that bank is too big to exist, and we're going to break them up. That works with small and medium-sized businesses, not an island unto itself, only concerned about the profits of a few. We need a movement which works with our trade unions and ends our disastrous trade policies which have cost us millions of decent paid jobs. And that includes defeating the TPP. Corporate America has got to start investing in our country, not just countries all over the world. We need a movement which says that every worker in this country deserves a living wage. Understands that the current minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage, and that we are going to raise that minimum wage over the period of a few years to $15 an hour. We are going to end the disgrace of women making 78 cents on the dollar compared to men. We are going to have pay equity for women workers. And we are going to end the international embarrassment of being the only major country on earth that does not provide at least 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave. We need a movement which says that when real unemployment, including those who have given up looking for work and those who are working part-time, is over 10%. When black youth unemployment is over 50%, that we need a massive federal jobs program to rebuild our criminal infrastructure. Our roads, our bridges, our water systems, our wastewater plants, our airports, our rail are falling further and further behind other countries. We can create millions of jobs rebuilding our infrastructure, and I intend to do that. We need a political grassroots movement which tells the Koch brothers and the billionaire class that they will not be able to continue to buy candidates and elections, and that we will. So far. But let me repeat one to you that I have made, and that is that no nominee of mine to the U.S. Supreme Court will have his or her name go to the Senate unless that candidate is loud and clear in saying that one of the first orders of business for that candidate will be to rehear and overturn Citizens United. But we have got to go even further than overturning Citizens United. If we want a vibrant democracy where all Americans who want to run for office are able to do so, we need to move toward public funding of elections. And by the way, together we are going to end this cowardly voter suppression that Republican governors are imposing on people willing to work together. If a politician is too cowardly to face the voters, if a politician needs to think that he must suppress the vote in order to win, that politician should get another job. We need a movement that understands that climate change is real, it is caused by human activity, and that we are going to lead the world in transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel to energy efficiency and sustainability. Brothers and sisters, that means defeating the Keystone Pipeline. We need a movement that says, in a highly competitive global economy, that all of our people who have the ability and the qualifications will be able to get a college education regardless of the income of their families. And that is why I have introduced legislation that does two things. First, it makes every public college and university in America tuition free. Secondly, it substantially lowers interest rates on student debt. And we pay for that by imposing a Wall Street speculation tax. Because of their greed and illegal behavior, the American people bailed them out. Now it is their turn to help the middle class of this country. We need a political movement which, once and for all, will end institutional racism in our country and reform a very, very broken criminal justice system. We must not accept more deaths of unarmed blacks like Sandra Bland and Michael Brown and Rekia Boyd and Eric Garner, Walter Scott, and too many to name. We must not continue being the country in the world with more people in jail than any other. And the people in jail are disproportionately people of color. We must become the country in the world which invests in jobs and education, not jails and incarceration. And when we talk about bringing our country together, we cannot forget that there are now 11 million people here who are undocumented. We must provide legal protections for them. We must pass comprehensive immigration reform, and we must provide a path toward citizenship. And we must be clear that the racist and un-American idea that we are going to somehow round up millions of people in the dead of the night is not what this country is about, and it's not going to happen. You are looking at a former congressman who did not believe George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, and Don Rumsfeld, and who voted against the war in Iraq. A war which turned out to be one of the worst foreign policy blunders in the modern history of this country. And you are looking at a senator who will stand with President Obama in preventing Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, but will do it in a way that prevents war. Let me conclude by saying this. One of the demands of my campaign is that we as a people think big, not small, not accept this right-wing ideology and worldview. Not a question of cutting education by 2% or 4% or throwing people off of health care. We can, if we do not allow them to divide us up by race or gender, or whether we're gay, or whether we're straight, or whether we're born in America or born someplace else. If we stand together, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. We can live in a country where health care is a right for all people, not a privilege. In a country where when mom and dad go to work, they know their kids have the best quality child care in the world. We can live in a country where seniors retire in dignity and security and not be forced to choose between their medicine and their food. And that is why I am helping to lead the effort in the Senate, not only to oppose the privatization of Social Security or cuts in Social Security, but to expand Social Security benefits. We can live in a nation where our veterans, the men and women who put their lives on the line to defend us, get the quality health care and the benefits they have earned and the respect that they are due. Brothers and sisters, we can live in a nation where everyone, no matter their race, their religion, their disability, or their sexual orientation, realizes the full promise of equality that is our birthright as Americans. This is the country we can build. It is the country we must build. And if we stand together, that is the country we will build. Thank you very much.